Good morning, good evening, or good night, wherever in the world you are, whatever time of day you are watching this. Hope you are well, and welcome to your latest Nottingham Forest news. In today's episode, we will be covering off the power struggle, quote unquote, between Marinakis and Steve Cooper. We'll be touching on the performances of some of our international players from yesterday, and we will be doing everything else related for us. Well, that probably is pretty much it. Guys, if you are new here, or if you would be kind enough, if you're a regular, to please hit that like button before we start. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, that's what I was trying to say. And turn your notifications on so you don't miss a single upload. If you'd like to support the channel, you can always become a member for 99p, and that will give you all the forest emojis your heart desires. And finally, if you're doing any shopping on Amazon, please do use our links below. It's completely free for you to use. And we got loads of special offers on Amazon, so go check them out in our store. Let's get on with the news, and let's start with our players' performances from last night. So Wales Nottingham Forest FC fielded out quite a few Forest players yesterday. We had Brennan Johnson out on the pitch, Nico Williams out on the pitch, and Hennessy as well in goal. And they, I thought, performed really well against a very good Belgium team. For those of you who didn't see it, the result ended up being 2-1 to Belgium. They went into a 2-0 lead, and just after half-time, Johnson, who, guess what, was playing wide on the right, who had a really good game in my opinion, was able to cross a delightful chipped ball into the box, and Wales were able to pull a goal back with the Bournemouth striker. So overall, watching Johnson, I thought, as I've been saying, his performances out wide on the right, it's like it's a different player when he plays into that channel. He's dragging players towards him. He can use his pace to get in behind. He's designed for that position. Been saying it from pre-season when he was putting Cam in the first game he came back, that it just wouldn't work for him there. And there's a lot of people who've been giving Brennan Johnson stick, and I have been defending him. And because more than anything, I feel he's being played out of position. If you agree with me or not on Brennan Johnson, look, some people are against him starting, and each to their own opinion. But I really want to know your guys' thoughts on Brennan down below. In terms of Nico Williams, he defensively played very well. I believe Wales were playing in a 4, and guess what? That suited him very nicely as well. And then Hennessy, of course, conceded 2 goals, but it is what it is. It's a good team in Belgium. So overall, really good performances from our outfield players. But just bringing that to you in case you missed it. And of course, McKenna played in Scotland and kept a clean sheet as well, which is fantastic to see. Let's hope they can replicate that form back in the Premier League for us. Let's jump into today's main story though, which is who's in control of Nottingham Forest. Okay, again, following up from yesterday, I'm seeing so much crap, be it on Twitter, be it even on YouTube, be it in the media, talk sport, all this stuff about Marinakis versus Cooper, and who's in control, who sanctioned the players, who bought the players, and who is picking the team. Again, I'm going to go back to what I said yesterday. A lot of this is filling inches on columns in International Week, where there's nothing to talk about in terms of of the Premier League clubs, etc. And these guys are just finding topics to converse on. Actually helps me because then I can put it to you guys and tell you, don't listen to what they're saying. Look, I've had my say on these things, and I'm sure a lot of Forest fans have. And there are actually Forest fans who are fueling the fire of this as well, especially on Twitter. What I've got to say about this is quite simple. Firstly, we know that the rebuild of the club had to happen in summer. We are not going to go back through the details of why and justify the fact that we took 22 players, etc. It is because we already know why. If you don't know why, go back to one of my older videos. I'm sure I've mentioned it in there before. But the point of this is this friction that they're trying to create at the moment between our hierarchy in terms of management and Steve Cooper and his staff. There's a lot of this stuff going on about these players that weren't bought under Steve Cooper's authority. And I'm talking of the likes of Freuler, of Dennis, of players that came in late, maybe a Lodi, players like that. And people are saying that Marinakis is forcing Cooper into starting these players. Like Lodi came straight into the team because Marinakis has said that Lodi must start. He's come from Atletico Madrid. He's a big name. Let's get him out on the pitch. I'm going to say this quite simply. I'm going to say this once in this video, and then we're just going to move on from it going forward. These players were part of a scheme that Steve Cooper, Marinakis, Dave Murphy, the other Marinakis, all were involved in. Now, I'm not saying they all agreed on the same players, nor am I saying Steve Cooper had the final say, but Steve Cooper would have had a say in these. There are players that they probably had on that list that they targeted and weren't able to get. Let's look at Maxwell Cornet, for example. That would have been a choice of Steve Cooper's that was pursued. Moreno from Betis, that was pursued. But in the end, not every player you go for will sign for your club. Look at the other big clubs that tried to sign players. I think of De Jong, Chelsea chased him, Man U chased him, and he didn't want to go. This is part and parcel of football. You will not get everyone you want on that first 11 team sheet. It's just facts. And Cooper knows this more than anyone else. And on top of that, the shopping list will have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C for each position across the pitch as well, where strengthening is required. So, the end of the day, the point on this is, and the evidence is there to be seen as well. Jesse Lingard is another name that gets thrown up that the Marinakis guys signed him without Cooper's consent. Again, what I'll say on that is Cooper went down to London to meet Lingard before he signed up, to have a chat with him, to look him in the whites of his eyes, to get him to understand the philosophy and Cooper to understand what Lingard was looking from his next move. Again, further signals that all this BS that's being said is just BS to fill column inches up. I am granting you there's probably 2, 3, maybe even 4 players that Cooper didn't have as first choice. And that might be because the players he wanted as first choice were not available, as we've just said, or didn't want to join the club. But Cooper isn't going to sit there and say it's him or nobody. Yeah, let's just take Maxwell Cornet as the example. You know, he's not going to say, right, you weren't able to get me Maxwell Cornet. I don't want anyone in his place. Yeah, because that's what people are saying about Dennis. Dennis can play out on the wing or up front. He actually has versatility and is one of our more expensive signings. And I understand that people are wondering, why is Cooper not playing him as much? I would say let's calm down first. Yeah, we're still a few games into the season. Cooper's still struggling to find who his first 11 are. Maybe Dennis isn't fully sharp. Maybe we're seeing stuff on the, maybe he's seeing stuff, should I say, on the training pitch that we're not seeing out on the pitch in his 5-minute cameos. Or maybe Cooper's just building him up and blooding him up and he will get a start shortly. Same with the likes of Freuler. Look, I'll admit, these selections have frustrated me hugely, but at the end of the day, Steve Cooper is the one who gets paid to make these decisions. He will live and die by them. The other point to address on top of all of this is when Steve Cooper came into Nottingham Forest, just slightly exactly 12 months ago, the players we had in our squad, not a single one of them he had signed. Yet, he was still able to work with all the players, get the best out of them, figure out who his best 11 were, figure out the formations, etc. Was anyone back then saying, oh, these are the players that Marinakis brought in? Of course not, because that'd be complete stupidity. It's very similar in this. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is these are now the squad. Like it, lump it, love it, hate it, this is the squad. Cooper has to work with these players. He has proven that he can work with a squad last season that he didn't have a say in until you could argue January, where a couple of players were brought in and that were able to start putting the Cooper philosophy into play. But now he's working with most of the squad at the very least. That are choices that he has made or he has influenced. On top of that, a lot of people are asking about the loanee signings. Why didn't we get those loanees he did so well for us? The likes of Jed Spence, the likes of Garner, the likes of Zink, the likes of Davies, Max Lowe, etc. Again, these were all decisions and conversations that happened internally. We could have got Jed Spence. It turns out Forest never even attempted to bid for him. Garner was available, but we went in a different direction and bought 2 or 3 players. Look, regardless of if you wanted them or you didn't want them back in the club, the decisions were made. And the point of this video is decisions were made between the hierarchy and Steve Cooper. But don't for a minute think that everyone will agree on everything. That's not how life works. Most of you guys, well, I know, speaking from my own experience, if I'm going out for dinner with the wife, we sometimes can't agree with ourselves which restaurant or what type of food we want to do. Yeah. Usually she ends up winning. But do I then throw my toys out the pram? Do I refuse to eat at the restaurant? No, I'll still eat, and I still have to fork the bill at the end of the day. But we'll still leave happy after having a good evening out, etc. That's just how life is. Now, it's not exactly the best analogy for you, but I hope it paints a picture of what I'm trying to describe to you. So don't let these scaremongers, these hate mongers against Nottingham Forest get into your minds and get into that idea. And at the end of the day, even if they are right, at the end of it all, Marinakis owns this club. It's his toy and he can play with it how he wants. And if he wants to buy certain players, Cooper has to get on board with them and decide. And for me, the absolute seal of the deal is Morgan Gibbs-White. Morgan Gibbs-White, as I've said from the start, I've wanted him. But I will agree we overpaid for him. I would have put his base price, as in the initial fee, at a max of 20 million, and we've ended up paying 25 mil. With add-ons, I don't think it should have surpassed 30 mil, but it could reach 42.5, 44 mil, whatever the figure is. Forget the numbers, think about the message it's sending. This is clearly saying, from Marinakis to Cooper, this is the boy you wanted, I'm bringing him in for you, come hell or high water, I'm getting my way to appease you. If that isn't a sign of cohesion, I don't know what is. Look at now, as I mentioned to you the other day, Marinakis is bringing in a data analyst from Swansea, one of Cooper's old team. If Cooper isn't the man for Marinakis, then why the hell are they still recruiting staff that Cooper wants to see in the club? So please, guys, again, the message from me today is ignore these nibbles, these comments. They're all designed to cause unrest. Why? Because Forest are on a losing streak. When a team is on a losing streak, anyone and everyone will try and find something that they can create friction with or create a story with. If Forest had won their last 3 or 4 games, they'd have nothing to talk about. So let's hope they get it done right on the pitch so that all these idiots back off and go find another club to talk about. But that's my thought on it. I know it's turned into a little bit of a rant. I hope most of it's made sense, or maybe 20% of it makes sense. But I want your thoughts and opinions on it. Are you believing what you're reading in the press about this so-called Marinakis in control and picking the team? Or like me, do you believe there is cohesion and there is harmony and there is trust between the hierarchy and the management? Let me know in the comments down below. Guys, thank you for watching. If you would be kind enough to hit that like button before you enjoy the rest of your evening or afternoon and your weekend, subscribe to the channel as well. Go check out our Amazon deals. It's completely free for you to click on those links. And if you would like to become a member, please hit the join button now and support the channel. And finally, come on, you Reds.